I'm going to elevate Stanley Kubrick here above other directors in determining whether or not a continuity error really exists or not. And why would I do that? Because if we look at his career over the decades, and if we know anything about him as a director, he was maniacal about all the little details. And if something is in there, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that it was a choice. And there's a whole documentary about The Shining and people suspecting that some of the things that are in it are so purposeful that they mean that they're clues to some conspiracies and so on. But there are, and they point out those continuity errors some of us had noticed before, such as the character Halloran. There's no possible way that his office could have a window that looks outside. It just is geographically impossible. And there's also huge wide shots, establishing shots of the Overlook Hotel, in which there is no maze visible whatsoever. that topiary or that garden maze doesn't exist at all, but there it is. And and then, and of course there's that famous scene where he crosses the 180-degree line in the bathroom, where Jack Torrance flips back and forth from left to right, right to left. He keeps going back and forth, and that's kind of a verboten thing sometimes in making films, but he does it on purpose. He has a very good reason for making that character Jack Torrance appear to be two different people, but he always looks like the same person. So is it two people inhabiting? Anyway, so in this scene that I'm going to show in Lolita, which is an earlier film in his career, I believe that this is a choice. I believe he did this absolutely on purpose. And you may disagree with me, but I think somebody like Kubrick knew exactly what he was doing. James Mason, his character's Humbert, is having dessert and coffee with Shelley Winters. Charlotte Hayes is her name. During their conversation, every time we're on Humbert's coverage, Mrs. Hayes has a cigarette wafting smoke in the shot. But when we're on her coverage, she isn't smoking. Nor is there any smoke visible from an ashtray. Her arm isn't even up. Let's watch.
You know, I have a glorious surprise for us.
One of your dramatic suites?
Guess again.
The Fowlers have been arrested.
Oh, really? Thank you, Louise.
I'm no good at guessing.
Mona Farlow is leaving for summer camp tomorrow. Lolita is going with her. You were absolutely right last night when you warned me that I was getting too liberal with her about boys. What's more, Mona disappeared from that party last night, and she did not come home till 4 a.m. So Jean and I decided that isolation from boys would be the best thing for both of the girls this crucial summer.
Yes. Do you think that the camp is the answer?
Oh, frankly, I do. And it's all arranged. The Farlows and I phoned the camp long distance. And I did all the shopping. Is something the matter with your face?
Toothache.
Oh, you poor man. If it still pains you tomorrow, I'll call and arrange an appointment.
How far away is this camp?
200 miles. It was a stroke of genius on Mama's part. Ain't I clever? Shall we take our coffee out to the piazza? Or do you want to go upstairs and nurse that tooth?
Nurse the tooth.
So why do I think this could be intentional? I think Kubrick wants a barrier, a haze, Charlotte Hayes, if you will, keeping Humbert out of reach. There's always this emotional separation between these two characters. And since it is Charlotte who wishes the veil to be removed, it is from her point of view that it exists. Humbert doesn't need a physical barrier from his point of view because his resolve will always be to keep her away. His is permanent and needs no physical representation. And remember also that at the time Lolita was filmed, this was well before home video. The only way that audiences might have been able to revisit a film is if they went back to the theater on the original releases, or they would have to wait until the film was re-released, which, of course, happened back when movie theaters were much more common to go see the movies, and you didn't have the home video or streaming options to rewatch films. And I think that he knew that continuity issue was not really likely to register with audiences. Not immediately, because we're listening to their conversation, but I also think that he knew that those visual clues to the relationship between characters would register unconsciously. I believe that that's exactly what it is, because I think that he knew that those unconscious clues supported the emotional involvement in films. He knew that. It was a visual thing. And it's probably even likely that there was a script supervisor who tried to fight him on it. I have no idea, but just knowing how script supervisors are, we like to jump in there and go, well, this, that's not going to match. But I've worked with directors who, I questioned some of this stuff, but I could also see that the film was going to cut, but it was just a different style. So that is, if that conversation had occurred, Kubrick would have brushed it off or said, no, this was a very specific choice. He's a very knowledgeable filmmaker. He knew the rules. He would know exactly what is expected as far as coverage is concerned. But if you know the rules that well, you also know that if you break them, you know how to break them and how to break them to tell a story in the way that you want to do it. So I think that's what he did.